Carole Boyce-Davies. She's a professor of Africana Studies at Cornell University, and she joins us now from Ithaca in New York. Great to have you on the program. I want to ask you about the reforms, the talk of reforms that we've been hearing. Are you confident that George Floyd's death will really mark a turning point, especially for police reform and racism globally?
Absolutely. One of the things I want to say first is that the United States claims to be in the lead in terms of creating advanced technological systems, business patterns, and so on. They can definitely, therefore, be in the lead as well in creating a progressive system of managing populations that is not abusive, that is not terrorizing its own citizens, and that is not in the position it is now seen around the world then as being the place that has the most violent racist policing available. So there are possibilities, all sorts of possibilities. There's a prison abolition movement, and I'm really pleased to see a police abolition movement. They can create something different that is advanced, that is not emulated anywhere else, and that is therefore not the horrendous system that exists now, where everyone who is Black is afraid when a police drives a car behind him or her. It's not an easy thing to live under. I've had it in my own experience as well.
But Carole, sorry, do you fear today that when George Floyd is laid to rest, that the media attention and the momentum that we're seeing on the streets will disappear?
There's an element of that for sure. And generally, the intensity of what is happening now, I'm sure will dissipate in some way. That is normal. But the students have been, and young people have been pretty much radicalized about this. And you see the impact around the world where people are beginning to look at their own systems to see how racial structures operate in them. And I'm really pleased that the kinds of things that we argued for in the history of Africana Studies have now been part of the framework. Concepts like systemic racism, which were fundamentally advanced in Africana Studies, are definitely also part of the discourse today.
And the Democratic presidential candidate, Joe Biden, he met privately with George Floyd's relatives in Houston. Donald Trump hasn't met in person with them. How significant is that going forward and for the mood right now?
Amazingly significant, but nobody expects him to really, if he meets, not make a mistake. He is known for these amazing offensive approaches to handling situations of this sort, whether it's the killing of students in schools, or in this case, the Charlottesville event where you had Nazis walking in the street. He never says the appropriate thing. And I have no idea if he goes to Minnesota, if he will do that. He will, unless it's scripted, we are sure that he will make a mistake and say the wrong thing because it's not coming from how he really feels about these situations. So we are really in a really horrible place, the United States in this 2020, where we have a president who seems totally devoid of the kind of emotions, the leadership skills, the practical abilities to manage crises, any of those things that one would expect coming from the world's superpower. And clearly this is a fail, and we hope nobody else in the world emulates this.
Carole, from those almost 9 minutes that Derek Chauvin knelt on George Floyd's neck, a very long time, what are the main things that you don't want the world to forget?
There should never be a situation where somebody is dying and a policeman or woman holds that person around the neck or puts his knee on that person until the person dies. There are different ways of managing people who may be not wanting to go into a police car. I think it's almost automatic. The body itself responds when it's being put under those conditions. So therefore they escalate, they brutalize, they throw people on the ground. And in fact, I saw a video of a woman in a city called Bellevue thrown on the ground with a policeman straddling her on top of her back. There are many, many stories like that. And if you talk to students in classes, they would tell you from time to time that they are targets of policing where a particular policeman decides that he's going to follow them every time he sees them. I had one student who said every single day from high school, a policeman would stop him and harass him. And he asked, what do I do in a case like that? And I didn't know what to tell him. My suggestion was maybe you might have to not go back home when you graduate, maybe go to another city so that you're not really under his laser all the time. So basically, the structures in place are offensive. The structures in place are killing people. The structures in place are brutal. And therefore, there has to be a way that policing is challenged so that it does not continue this pattern, and therefore create a new method of how one handles populations, how one rehabilitates issues that people who are having difficult situations. And therefore, I was listening to one discussion where the suggestion was create a different set of networks so that when you call 911, you don't necessarily get the police coming, as in Breonna Taylor's case, and killing her in her own house. So there have to be other methods that people who are smart and understand how to advance society think through how best one can represent treating people in a fair way in this new generation.
And speaking of the new generation, at your university, what are your students telling you? Do they feel that this is really a turning point, a new season?
They definitely do. And we've been getting, I mean, we've been working remotely following COVID, but we've been getting emails from them. We've been getting statements saying how they are so amazed at the kinds of theoretical issues that we brought up in class being really manifested in front of their eyes. So I'm really happy to see that we've had a Black Lives Movement chapter on our campus, and I'm sure that they're going to be even more involved when they come back to campus. Graduate students in certain departments, as for example, anthropology at Cornell, are looking at the fact that faculty members who are Black or who represent indigenous peoples or other kinds of groups are not represented among the professoriate. So I'm sure that the universities will have to deal with these issues come the fall, and to look really at their sense of how their institutions are structured internally to see how best they can have a more representative population of both students and faculty and
Carole
subject
Boyce.
matters.
Okay, Carole Boyce-Davies, thank you so much. It's been fantastic to speak to you from Cornell University.